Hello, welcome to Computer Networks online lecture series. Myself Prima Rawal from Edge Institute of Engineering and Technology in the Department of Electronics and Communication. I'll be taking the online lecture series on the subject Computer Networks. So let's start today's session. So let's see transport layer service. The main role of the transport layer is to provide the communication services directly to the application processes running on different hosts. So there are the processes running on different hosts, or there are the applications on different platforms. Transport layer has to provide the services at different hosts. To achieve this goal, the transport layer makes use of the services provided by the network layer. The hardware or software within the transport layer that does this work is called the transport entity. So, to satisfy the transport layer requirements or the services, whatever the softwares and hardwares we are using, we'll call it as transport entity. The application communicates by using either of these two protocols. The first one is TCP, that is Transport Control Protocol or Transmission Control Protocol, and the second one is UDP, which stands for User Datagram Protocol. So at transport layer, these are the basic two protocols which are used widely. We will see each of this in detail. Now, let's see the basic transport layer services. As you can see in this diagram, the first service is end-to-end delivery. The second one is addressing. The third one is reliable delivery. Fourth one is flow control. And the fifth one is multiplexing. So these are the basic 5 services at transport layer. Let us understand each services and its role in detail. So here, let us see the first one, that is end-to-end delivery. So the transport layer transmits the entire message to the destination. Therefore, it ensures the end-to-end delivery of the entire message from a source to destination. So this is the basic role of end-to-end delivery at the transport layer, from source to destination. Second one is reliable delivery. The transport layer provides services by retransmitting the lost and damaged packets, which ensures the reliable delivery of the packets from source to destination host. Next, the reliable delivery of the transport layer has 4 aspects. Among that, the first one is error control, second one is sequence control, third one is loss control, and fourth one is duplication control. So these are the main 4 aspects using which reliable delivery of the packets is done at the transport layer. Now next is flow control. So flow control is used to prevent the sender from overwhelming the receiver, and if the receiver is overloaded with so much of the data, then the receiver discards the packets and asking for the retransmission of packets. So retransmitting these packets to avoid the congestion at the receiver the flow control is to be maintained at the transport layer. So this is again the important service, flow control at the transport layer. Here the next is multiplexing. So the transport layer uses the multiplexing to improve the transmission efficiency. Here multiplexing can occur in two ways. The first one is upward multiplexing and the second one is downward multiplexing. So upward multiplexing means multiple transport layer connection use the same network connection. And the second one is downward multiplexing, which means one transport layer connection which uses the multiple network connections. So multiplexing is done at the transport layer. Then the next is addressing. So according to the layered model, the transport layer interacts with the function of the session layer. Many protocols combine the session, presentation and application layer protocols into a single layer like TCP because the application layer, which is known as the single layer. And in these cases, delivery to the session layer means delivery to the application layer. So data generated by the application layer on one machine must be transmitted to the correct application on the another machine. In this case, addressing is provided by the transport layer. That means at which destination the data is to be transmitted, and for that addressing or the address of the destination is to be known by the sender host. So addressing is again important service at the transport layer. So these are the transport layer services. Now let's see elements of transport protocols. Now you need to differentiate transport layer services and elements of transport protocols. They are different to each other, but some of the content will be same. So let's see elements of transport protocols, in which the first one is addressing, the second one is establishing a connection, the third one is releasing a connection, then the next is flow control and buffering, then next is multiplexing, and the last element of transport protocol is crash recovery. So these are the main 6 elements of transport protocols. Let us understand each of them in detail. So first one, addressing. So when an application, that means a user, processes or wishes to set up a connection to a remote application process, it must specify which one it has to connect to. That is called as addressing. So we will use the generic term TSAP, that is Transport Service Access Point, to indicate the addresses. The analogs and points in the network layers are then called as NSAPs, that is Network Layer Addresses, or else you can say Network Service Access Point. IP addresses are the examples of NSAPs, that is Network Service Access Points. Next is establishing a connection. So here, as you can see, this indicates the three-way handshaking of establishing a connection. Here host 1 and host 2 is indicated, where host 1 sends the connection request CR, of which the acknowledgement is to be obtained. Here there are two worst case scenarios that may happen if the standard connection is not established. The first case indicates the loss of connection request or duplication of CR, and of which the acknowledgement is received which is incorrect, and then it will reject this acknowledgement. The second case is where the acknowledgement and the data are lost. These are the worst case scenarios in establishing a connection for the three-way handshaking case. Next is releasing a connection. That means once the data is transferred, the connection is to be released. Now there are two types of connection release process. The first one is asymmetric release and the second one is symmetric release. In asymmetric release, what happens is that if one party hangs up or one party or one host disconnects, the connection is broken. That means the connection is not to be broken at both the sides, If anyone hangs up the connection or breaks the connection is lost. Here it may happen that the data loss can occur because it may happen that one sender is sending the data and at that time the another host or receiver breaks up the connection. So data loss can occur. Whereas in the second case, that means in symmetric release, each direction is released independently. That means after communicating with each other, the connection is released. Here, the problem arises which is called as two-army problem. As you can see over here, this indicates the cases of the asymmetric release where two-army problem arises. Here, the two valley is indicated. That means in a valley, white army is situated and on the two opposite sides, teams of blue army is indicated. At the blue army 1 and at the blue army 2, if both these wants to defeat the white army, they want to communicate with each other and they have to attack at the same time. As you can see, blue army has two persons at one side and two persons on the opposite side. Whereas in the white army there are three persons. This analogy is ideal in which it is indicated that if four persons simultaneously attacks at the same time on the third three persons, that means on the white army, they can win. So to win this white army is to be attacked by the blue army at the same time. That means synchronization is to be provided. Now here what happens is if blue army 1 asks for the attack, let's say for example at 9 AM and they send this message to blue army 2. If this blue army 2 is ready to attack at 9 AM, it will send the acknowledgement back to this blue army 1 that yes, we are ready to attack at this time, and if they receive this correctly, they can attack and win. But what if the acknowledgement is not received correctly at the blue army 1? Blue army 2 will attack at the 9 AM in morning and blue army 1 will understand that as we have not received the acknowledgement, we are not ready to attack at that time. So they will not attack and this war can be defeated by the blue army. The second case scenario is that if the acknowledgement is received, but at that time blue army 1 is not ready and they want to change the schedule. They will send the message saying that we have to shift the time from 9 AM to 9 PM. And if this message is not received at blue army 2, they will attack and the worst case scenario will occur in this. So these possibilities of receiving or not receiving the data or acknowledgement may happen, which is called as the two-army problem. Now I hope that connection release is clear to you now. And the cases of connection release, symmetric release and asymmetric release is clear. Now next element is flow control and buffering. So the flow control and buffering rules are same that were in the data link layer. But let us understand the difference of this in the transport layer and that we have used in the data link layer. So connections or connection lines in transport layers are many and that may be varying in the cases. Whereas in data link layer the connection lines are few and they are fixed for particular users. Next is sliding window size. So window size is variable in the transport layer, whereas it is fixed in the data link layer. That means throughout the transmission, window size is remain same in data link layer. Next is buffer management. So for buffer management, there are different sizes in transport layer, whereas in data link layer we had fixed size of buffers. So these are the differences between flow control and buffering for the transport layer and data link layer. Next is multiplexing. We know what multiplexing means. That means the same channel can be used by many users, that means shared by the multiple users. So in transport layer, the network sharing can either be multiplexing or inverse multiplexing. Whereas multiplexing is that where connection shares a network address. whereas in inverse multiplexing, addressing shares a connection. Now next is crash recovery. That means if the hosts and routers are subject to crashes, recovery from these crashes becomes an issue. That means whatever the data loss is there, it has to be recovered. So if the transport entity is entirely within the host, recovery from network and router crashes is straightforward. And if the network layer provides datagram service, the transport entities expect loss of TPDUs, that means transport protocol data units, all the time and know how to cope up with them. So transport layer provides the crash recovery or data loss of the packets. These are the references. So in this session, we have seen the elements of transfer protocols and we have seen the network layer services. Now in the next session, we are going to see basic protocols used at the transport layer, which are TCP and UDP. Thank you. Thank you for listening.